Hey friends, Benjamin Sears here. Welcome to Movement Snacks. I've got a hip and foot focused movement snack for you today that will segue into one of my favorite yoga sequences for lower back decompression. So we'll get right into it. Come onto your left side in a side plank. And so this is going to be a little bit of a different side plank. Press down into the ground with your elbow and your forearm and bring your knees into a 90-degree angle, but a little bit below your hips, and then pivot up. Press down with your elbow so that your shoulder is active and you feel your armpit muscles work. I don't want your shoulder coming forward. With this leg, turn your pelvis slightly up towards the ceiling so there's a little bit of internal rotation under load in this leg. And then we're going to do axial rotations of the other hip. So the knee stays in the same position. I want your lower back long and straight, so tuck your tailbone and keep your hips high while you simply rotate the thigh bone inside the joint of the hip without moving your knee. So it's not a clamshell, and while this hip is getting work, this hip is definitely getting work, so it's a little bit of multitasking. And continue to press down through the shoulder so that the shoulder is developing some stability. This is a great position to be in for people with instability in the shoulder. Keep the collarbone really broad by pressing down and pulling back with your elbow, and keep those axial rotations going. Should be starting to get pretty challenging. Okay, you can come down now, and then on your hands and knees, round your back one time. Pause when you feel as round as you can get, and inhale down into your lower back as if there's lungs down there. All the way until your diaphragm starts to shake, and then exhale, press your knees down, rotate your ankles outwards so that you internally rotate your hips and pull in with your knees to try to round your lower back a little bit more. As your ankles go out, you should feel more access to your low back. That was just to give your hips a little rest. Come onto your right side now for that same side plank. Lift your hips. Keep this side hip up. Don't let it drop. And then press down with your knee to turn your thigh in slightly so there's a little internal rotation under load on this hip. Tuck your tailbone and then axial rotations of your left hip. So the thigh bone is moving in the hip, but your knee stays still. In other words, I'm not opening and closing that way. So you'll probably feel this side a lot because this side was just the downside that had to do a lot of support for your hip. So we do these rotations. Keep that right shoulder active. I know it's tempting as it fatigues to sink into the shoulder. Nice. And then come on down onto your knees and grab your block or your books or your pillow or whatever. And you're going to simply sit on the block. Now we're going to work into internal rotation of the hip. Take your left foot back like this. So this is sort of an easier version of a 90-90 to access internal hip rotation on this side. Flex your back foot, so it's important that this foot's not in a point. If this is putting pressure on your knee, you can always just elevate your hips more. I've even done this like sitting on the edge of a sofa. Okay, now turn your body towards the left and put your hands on your left thigh and feel for simply softening your sitting bone into the surface that you're sitting on. And then from there, use your hands to guide a little internal rotation of the hip. And that should feel a little interesting up here, all in your inner hip tissue. Press down with your ankle and your knee into the ground. So I want you to feel for engaging the inside of your leg. And as you do that, turn your body a little to the right. And it's not a big tuck in the tailbone, but feel like a little bit of this feeling of tailbone just drop, more sitting bone dropping to the floor. And as I do that, it's important that you keep the pressure of the ankle and the knee down, because what we're really doing here is a progressive angle isometric. You can use your hands to keep guiding internal rotation. And I also feel this nice sort of spreading across my sacrum, like a lengthening and a space in my low back. So pelvis doesn't really turn, but you can turn your body just a little bit towards the left, and don't be afraid to use your hands to guide this internal rotation of the hip. And we're not looking necessarily for like more and more stretch, we're looking for more and more rotation. So as I continue to talk, keep the isometric active. So keep pressing down with your foot and your knee. You could put your hand here and kind of push against your knee and resist to feel the inner hip tissue turn on a little bit more. Now we're going to work into a regressive angle isometric, but it's low intensity. I'm not worried about you lifting your foot. So keep your right hand on your thigh, helping it rotate. And then inhale, and now just imagine that you're going to lift your left foot off the ground. It's not going to lift, but what I want you to feel is if you take your hand and put your thumb at the outer top of your butt on the glute min muscle, try to get that area to fire up as you sort of in your imagination lift your foot off the ground. And do that without arching your low back, right? So there's a little tiny movement of the pelvis sort of tilting back while dropping down, but it's not a grabbing of the low back like a back bend. And we're gonna stay here in this regressive angle isometric for another 30 seconds or so. We're really trying to do each isometric for 1 minute at low intensity. So notice like I have my thumb right here in my upper outer butt, and I feel that muscle sort of turn on and turn off as I lose focus or regain it, or the key is really to keep that working and then keep feeling for dropping your hips down into the block. Tongue on the roof of the mouth, breath nice and easy through your nose. You can also feel for kind of like reaching backwards with your heel a little bit, like almost putting your hip in extension, and that will help engage that muscle. Okay, you can just relax out of that. Now we're going to stay in this position, but just tuck your foot under. We're going to work a few moments in the ankle and the foot here. So pull your foot back as far as you can behind your knee without, of course, any pain in your knee. And then grip the floor with your toes and move your inner ankle away from your finger so that the arch lifts without any part of your inner heel lifting. And then as you grip the floor with your toes, you can apply some pressure to your knee and lean into the front of your foot. So you're trying to get your knee to come over your toes as far as you can, but of course without pain in your knee. So, it's like the right dosage of medicine over time will be healing, the wrong dosage will be excessive or not enough. So grip with your toes, keep the arch lifted, and by pulling with your toes, you can feel that the muscle in the back of your lower leg will work all the way up into the back of your knee. We're going to lean into this now for another 30 seconds because, again, we're working a minute on each side. And these mobility practices can feel a little bit tedious, but the key really is just to keep a good attitude and know that this kind of work is like tilling the soil in the garden of your body, right? It's like preparing your body to be able to do all the fun things that you want to do in life, like, walk downstairs, run up a hill, go skiing, do postures that you want to do, movements that you want to do. Okay, now inhale and try to lift your toes up. And it's okay if they don't come up, but what I want you to feel is a really strong activation across the front of your shin. And it should feel kind of burny. You don't have to work at 100% here. We're trying to go low intensity isometric for a minute in each direction. So keep pulling up on your toes and lean into it. And feel like this muscle in the front, this tissue in the front is kind of pulling you deeper into the stretch. Keep your chest up so you're not all hunched over, and so that your right hip can move out to its own side. About 30 more seconds here. Again, you should continue to feel this activation in the front of the ankle. The strengthening the tibialis muscle, the front of the ankle, all this tissue in the front is excellent also for healthy knees. Provides shock absorption for the knees. Pull your heart forward. Keep trying to lift your toes up. Nice. All right, 5 seconds to go. And, all right, well, you're done with that. Torture's over. Pull your left foot out, and then just bring your right foot around like this. And now we're doing the same drill on the right side. So hands grip on your thigh, press down with your ankle and your knee, and get this little moment of feeling that first you kind of tilt the cup of your pelvis forward, and then let your sitting bone drop down. So you're not over tucking, but I don't want you to feel that your low back muscles are kind of grabbing and holding on. If you feel that, you probably need to elevate your hips a little more. So this is the progressive angle isometric. Push your right foot, right knee into the ground, and use your hands. You can see I'm like really using my hands to help my thigh figure out which way to go. I'm trying to turn it inwards this way, which will give me space across my low back. And it doesn't feel like the same as if you were doing a stretch like a pigeon pose or something like that. It feels a little less, in some ways, intense because you're not really stretching a giant muscle. You're working into the joint capsule deep inside the joint. And these internal rotation postures are maybe not as dramatic or exciting, but they're incredibly helpful for just the health of the joints, whether it's hips, shoulders, even knees. So keep that pressure down. Again, if you want to test if you're really making pressure, you can put your hand underneath your foot and push your foot down into your hand. And as you do that, feel for spinning your thigh in and letting your sitting bone move out to its own side. And as I do that, I feel like a little bit of space across my low back that feels nice, like really low in my back, low in my low back. Okay, now inhale, take your right thumb, put it on your upper outer butt, and try to push back and lift with your heel. And I want you to keep this sort of like ridge of your upper butt engaged the whole time. And you can use this hand, which is your opposite hand, your left hand, to try to keep that area, to keep your thigh turning in. Like just kind of give it a little guidance. And as you're trying to lift your foot, which is probably not going to come up, and push backwards, use that action to turn your thigh in and move your sitting bone out and down, again, without contracting your lower back muscles. So there's a little bit of like a natural anterior pelvic tilt. It's like, think that your pelvis kind of goes back first and then out and under, which is a little confusing, but really you just have to know, you kind of have to move in every direction to find the center of something. So keep trying to lift that foot, the back foot. And we just got 10 seconds left. Low ribs in, low belly in, and chest really up. You want to stand up tall in your upper body without flaring your ribs here. Nice. Now all you got to do is take that right foot, pull it under, be a more comfortable position for your foot, pull your left foot back. And then to activate your foot, and this is important for your yoga postures too, for a moment let your ankle collapse in and then grip with your toes so your ankle moves out of the center and then lean into it, right? And so you don't have to use your hand to help. If this is feels like a tender position for your knee, just go right before you feel any kind of tenderness and really crush the floor with your toes. So this low intensity isometric in ankle flexion not only improves your ankle and stretches the back of your leg, but I think it's really important to give your feet the opportunity to learn how to work in lower intensity scenarios, because activating your feet in your yoga postures is going to make a huge difference in how the posture affects the whole chain of your body from your feet up. So when I do my yoga postures, I'm typically gripping with my toes. I just feel like I get an arch in my foot, I get an arch in the back of my knee, I get an arch in my inner hip, and that helps me lengthen the arch in my lower back. So lean into it, knee as far over toes as you feel comfortable with. You might get a nice stretch in the Achilles or the calf. I'm also engaging my calf. I can feel the two sides of my calf working here. Nice. Now inhale and try to lift your toes up. That will feel intense in the front of the leg. And you can use your body to press your thigh more forward, but not to the point that your hips like lift off the block. And remember on this side too, chest and heart up, but it's not chest and heart up by like contracting your back. So low ribs down, chin back, and body up your leg. We've only got about 30 seconds left, and you should feel a good burn in the front of your leg here, even though we're working a lower intensity isometric. So you don't have to be 100% effort, because we're trying to go for a longer duration, more time under tension in this position. So this is a really nice little sequence that you can do a few times a week, just even these first two things that we're doing, just to work on the health of your hips, your ankles, and of course all of that will affect your knees, even though we're not like directly targeting the knees today. These positions will really assist your knees. Okay, so from here, you can get off of your block. Some of you might need the block, and then you're going to sit to the side like this in a sort of a short 90-90 position with the back foot flex. And then from there, again, elevate your hips if this is too hard, if you feel pain in your knees. Come up, and then pulling in with both knees, stick your butt out, pull your ribs down, come down almost to the floor, and come back up. And we're going to do 15 like that. So that's 3. The whole time, I want you to focus on pulling your knees inwards and pressing down with your ankle. So as you sit back, you're internally rotating your back hip. Again, if there's pain in your knee, elevate your hips so that the target is lower, right? So you could even go, only like that much. Hello. It's my neighbor waving to me. There's no idea, obviously, that I'm filming a movement snack, but you gotta be polite out here in the woods of Montana, because you don't have many neighbors and you never know when you might need one of them. And also, it's just good to be friendly. I'm the guy who makes friends at the grocery store. Okay, let's do 2 more. Nice. And then on the last one, whatever's the deepest point for you, hold. Stick your butt way, way out. Press your ankles and knees down. And then sit down. Left leg out. Right leg out. Now you're in a real 90-90. Put your hands behind you. Stick your butt out. Open. And transition, trying to keep your sitting bone down as long as you can. Then you can just pull your left foot in, pull your right foot in. And with or without your block, we do 15 of these little hip reps. Try to do it less from your back. And how do you do it less from your back? You have to use your front. So as I go down, I pull my ribs in, and I'm really trying to feel this fold of the sitting bone moving out to its own side. Oh man, I think that's only 7. There's 8, 9. Don't rush. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold on this last one at your lowest spot and keep pulling inwards to center with both knees and both feet. Nice, and then sit down. You can put your hands down, right leg goes out, left leg goes out, and then from here, open into frog position. Now, many of you will need to sit on a block for this one so that you're not tucked under. So stick your butt way, way out, and then press your arms into your legs and your legs into your arms. And use that to enter tilt your pelvis. In other words, stick your butt out and pull your chest forward. We do that for 10 seconds, then inhale. Now try to pull your knees off of your arms, opening your legs more, and reach forward with your fists. So reach forward with your fists, but don't drop in your upper body. So I want you to think that you're gonna bring like your sternum as far forward as you can. Capture the new space, press your knees into your arms, arms into your knees. We go 10 seconds here. We're just doing 3 rounds of this one. You can go hard if you want. You don't have to go hard. Just using isometrics to open up some space. Inhale, and now try to pull your knees further back off of your arms. So using those outer butt muscles we turned on. Reach forward with your fists. Good. Think, again, not down, but forward and hips back. Capture the new space. Press your knees into your arms, arms into your knees. Nice. Chest up, heart forward. Inhale. And pull your knees off your arms and then reach more forward. Good. Open your knees as wide as you can. This also, I feel a nice opening across my lower back. And then from there, you can just bring your feet together into butterfly or Baddha Konasana. And it should feel like your knees drop a little lower. We're going to do this whole thing without hands. Of course, if you need your hands to stand up, you're welcome to. So just stand up, step to the side of your mat, left side, arms up, and then step to the right. Turn your right foot out. Bend your right knee into warrior 2. When you bend your right knee into warrior 2, grip the floor with your toes to lift your arch like we were doing in that previous drill and push your heel outwards. So it's like it doesn't even have to move, but I just want you to feel that the arch lifts, and if you can see, like my calf muscle, if I'm not using my foot, is soft, and then when I grip with my toes, the calf turns on. Now this one's a little challenging. Interlace your hands behind your back. Good, and bend straight forward into the center for humble warrior 2. So in yoga postures, the axis of the hips, the longitudinal axis defines the lateral axis, defines the longitudinal axis. So the lateral axis is the hips, the longitudinal axis is this way, spine. So when I do humble warrior 2, I go forward in the center. I don't go over towards my front leg. So I'm trying to make space in this side of my back and this hip, and it's quite demanding. So you can drop your head so that you're using your legs instead of your neck. And really press down with your feet and try to move your body away from your front leg and reach back through your fists. You have to have a lot of strength here in balance with the flexibility. Bring your hands onto your low back and then calmly bring your hands to the floor. I know it's a lot in the hip. Take your left hand, bring it 6 inches in, 12 inches in front of your left foot, and then right hand goes on your inner right thigh. And now this is going to be a sweet opening of the right inner hip and low back. Press your right thigh into your right hand. So I don't want just the hand pressing the leg. Meet the pressure of your hand with your leg, and then use that to reach your right knee forward and arc your ribs to the right so that you feel a nice arcing stretch up the right side of your lower back. Avoid the temptation to get thrashy or like bounce around violently in your body because the posture is hard, and instead breathe down into your feet, put some strength in your feet and core, and arc your ribs over to the left. Lean forward into your hand so that your hips are in line with your feet. Nice, bring your hands down and then turn your toes in. This is one of my favorites. This is flank stretch. Right hand on your left ankle like a rock climber, left hand on top. Bend your knees and then lean to the right. So you're not trying to pull your foot to your leg and stretch your hamstring. We're working again into that pocket right here of the right low back. So let your knees bend so you can send your right hip up. And then breathe sweetly down into your right low back. And feel for moving your right ribs down and your right kidney out to the side. And what I mean by right kidney is just like this right part of your low back. Breathe in down there and make space. Hips a little to the left. Nice. Drop your arms and then just come up. Nice. Now we're going the other way, so left foot out, push the floor apart with your feet, and bend into your left leg. As you bend into your left leg, grip the floor with your toes and pull your heel outwards. So at the same time, it's like your knees moving forward, but your sitting bones moving back. Interlace your hands behind your back, fold forward, right in the center between your two legs, and reach through your fists. I don't care so much that your hands go really high. I want you to traction your shoulders and drop your head. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth where you would say love or light. And commit to the strength of your feet and toes to hold you up in this challenging posture with your lower body reaching towards the floor. Bring more strength into the arches of your feet to lift the arch of your perineum, mula bandha, low belly, and lean to the right. Strong left heel, strong right big toe. Hands calmly to your low back, hands to the floor. And then right hand goes 6 inches in, 12 inches in front of your right foot. Left hand to your inner left thigh. And then lean into your right hand so that it's not just in the attachment of the hamstring. And press your left thigh into your left hand. Don't put your hand on your knee, put it on your thigh. And engage the adductors of your left leg so that you're doing an isometric at the end range of motion here. Really, all the yoga postures have the potential to be more embodied, more complete if you make some tension against the stretch at the end range of motion. And then you start to work with your neurology by giving your body the message that you are supported. Lean away from your left leg. You can turn a little to the right. Feel for a sweet space at the left side of your back. Nice. Hands down. Calmly turn your toes in, feet a little closer together. Left hand over to your right ankle, right hand on top. And then bend your knees and lean over to the left. So I'm trying to lean away from the leg I'm holding. Still active in the feet. And then use the ball of your left foot to move your left sitting bone out to its own side. And mediate it with your right knee moving forward. So think that your knees move towards each other so that you thread the needle at the third eye of your pelvis by bringing your knees together. And as your knees move together, your sitting bones move apart. And then there has to be something to counteract that, so lift your perineum so that you seal the bottom of the pose, and the pose becomes an intelligent and well-curated container. Oh, it feels so good in the side of your back, doesn't it? Nice. Now, just bring your hands down to the ground and come down onto your knees. Sit on your heels for a moment. Let your hands rest on your thighs. Breathe down into your lower back and pelvis and feel some of the space and openness that you created in there by creating stability. So the right container will give you the space you need to operate. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and when you're ready, close your eyes and relax your eyes in the wells of their sockets. For 1, inhale down into your tailbone. We'll magic square the pelvis. 2, in your imagination, slide your right knee forward. 3, go to your left hip bone in the front and move it a little back. 4, take your left knee forward. 5, lift your perineum all the way up to the crown of your head. Feel the line at the center of your structure. 6, move your right sitting bone out to its own side. 7, go up to your right hip bone, find a little fold there. So in all this work, we've been kind of moving the knees towards each other. 8, go around your back to your left sitting bone. And then 9, bring your knees together at the third eye of your pelvis. 10, take a breath from the center of your pelvis out to its circumference. And then exhale from underneath you up your spine and out the top of your head. Take each inhale down into your pelvis, your perineum. Imagine that you're planting a little seed. And on the exhale, grow a thin green stalk up the center line of your body to the top of your head, and let the exhale take the green stalk like a lattice work of greenery out and around down the sides of your body. Again, inhale down into your perineum. Every time, imagine planting a seed. The exhale takes a thin, green, verdant stalk up the top of your head, out and around down the sides of your body. And let your imagination run with this. The greenery and the growth should be yours, your vision by the virtue of your imagination, by the virtue of your presence. So as you plant a seed in the base of you with each inhale, you connect to great nature, connect your nature to great nature, your root to the root. And then on the exhale, up, out, and around, down the sides of your body, you see your potential for growth. And this lattice work of greenery begins to encase but not limit you. As your breath goes in and out, naturally there's a balance and exchange of the gases and molecules within you, just like the trees process, you are part of great nature, you have a great nature within you. Every inhale down into the base of your pelvis, every exhale up, out the top of your head and around down the sides of your body. Relax your belly, and now just let all the visualization go. Be in the moment, be in the being. Just for this moment, nothing to do. Everything moving perfectly. Welcome to stay in meditation. Bring your hands to prayer. Open your eyes. Thanks for joining me for this practice. Hope to see you soon.